Welcome to Why 5% Succeed. This is the show where you discover how 5% of businesses really have it all. They've got great clients, fulfilling work, record compensation, and you can have all those things too. We're going to share hands-on tactics, techniques, tips, and tools that further your success. Hi, I'm your host, Elaine Starling, and I'm the Chief Innovation Officer for Starling Media Services, Inc. We're a boutique marketing firm helping purpose-driven women entrepreneurs become legacy leaders. I have a real passion for helping other people succeed. In fact, that's why I wrote this little book called Why 5% Succeed. And that's why I do this little show every week on Wednesdays. Well, a couple of weeks ago, I was chatting with today's guest. Her name is Lynn Hawkins. And she said something that just kind of stopped me in my tracks. She said, if you don't have a written business plan for your business, you are leaving money on the table. I was like, wow, really? And she explained to me that writing your business plan where you've got at least a 3-year view of what's coming, it's a lot more than just a financial projection for your business. It actually helps you crystallize your vision of what your business is all about. It's where you can write a very clear synopsis of the difference that you're going to make in the world. Do good stuff is a really good idea. And when you are focused on doing good stuff and you can articulate how you're planning to do good stuff, that's when you can just ignite your business. Well, as we started talking, I realized everything she's doing is in perfect alignment with what I teach my clients. Because marketing is just another word for connecting, contributing, and collaborating with other people. When marketing is done right, it's a transformation for everyone involved. Doing good stuff gives people more to talk about, and it gives them more to feel good about too. Well, if you don't know Lynn, I grilled her. I started asking all these questions, and it turns out she's really good at guiding busy business owners and entrepreneurs to write their business plans in just 7 easy steps. She may look like she's 25, which really annoys me because she's got over 35 years as a commercial real estate, as a senior executive in commercial mortgage banking, and she's just so articulate and so insightful. She does this intuitive business mentor thing. She helps entrepreneurs with their development and funding strategies. She's a grant writer, an innovator, an author, a speaker. I could go on forever. But what I love most about Lynn, she teaches this prosperity consciousness. She identifies funding strategies for your business that create more opportunities for you and for everybody involved. She's really good at generating business strategies that include partnering between a for-profit business and a non-profit business so everybody has increased visibility and revenue. Brilliant idea. Lynn serves heart-centered, purpose-driven entrepreneurs to strategically build bigger businesses and make a much bigger difference in the world. Lynn, I'm so delighted to have you on today's show.
Thank you, Elaine. I am so excited to be here today. It's just a huge pleasure to be on your show because I believe in the mission that you're on. And why 5% succeed is something that I'm looking to help make become 10%.
Yeah, I'm going for 95, actually.
All right.
I'm going to flip the funnel, right?
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
We're in total alignment here. I really want to kind of cut to the chase because a business plan, to a lot of people, it's like they'd rather just have you tear their hair out. It's so frustrating. Tell us a little bit about what a business plan can actually do for your business. Why is it so important to have a business plan?
Well, Elaine, you mentioned I'm really huge on teaching prosperity consciousness, and I believe that there are forces in the universe, there's energies in the universe, there are universal laws that actually support the fact that writing your business plan and the information that goes in it actually has energy. And that energy, with it beginning with your vision through all of the components of how it is that you intend to express your business, actually come together in a means of providing what you need in order to get you where you desire to be in your business. And
I want to stop you there for just 1 second, because if people didn't grab that and didn't grasp that, I want to make sure they understand where we're going with this, because that is a really crucial point that you just made. The thing that people don't realize is what galvanizes people to support you is your story. The better you are at telling your story, and really your story isn't necessarily with you as the hero, you're probably putting your client as the hero in your story. And when you're able to craft a really compelling story that brings them into that experience, all of a sudden they feel really great about themselves. It's some of the earliest teachings that we had: give and ye shall receive. By organizing your information into your business plan, you are creating that incredible story so that you show up from a position of power, of strength. You have high energy. Your passion, your enthusiasm for what you do is so apparent. And emotions are contagious. We have these things called mirror neurons that are right behind your eyebrows. And when somebody else is passionate and enthusiastic, you really pick up on that. And that's what you were able to embody because you wrote your business plan. I'm sorry to interrupt, but that was really important, Lynn. That was fabulous. Thank you for that.
Absolutely right. That's the law of the universe coming into play. Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. And I love how you lined it out, because it is the story of your business from its inception to where you see the end to be, actually. And a lot of people don't think about it, and I'll talk a little bit about it in a bit, but one of the major components of your business plan should be an exit strategy. And again, I'll talk about that a little bit more in a second, but you know, that is the business plan. It's the story of your business, and for it to be compelling, you want to have the thinking be around how it is you're going to serve people and what the benefits are that those people are going to receive. Because that's the hero's journey story that you were referring to. I love that.
It's so true. It's so true because, yes, your business plan talks a bit about what you do and how you do what you do. But the most important part that everybody wants to know is why you do what you do. The why is crucial to your business plan. And I know you're really passionate about business plans. You had to read a lot of them through your career.
Yes, I did. And those business plans in the lending world came in numerous forms and shapes and sizes. And, you know, even as a grant writer, you know, writing a grant is very similar to writing a business plan. And the thing that most people don't realize is that even when your business plan is primarily focused on you as the business, the really close secondary level should be about your customer, your clients, who it is that you're serving, because it is in that story that people will feel compelled to not only do business with you, but provide you with the funding opportunities that you're looking for, and provide you with the audiences that you may want to put yourself in front of in order to have those kinds of conversations about strategy or funding strategies or development dollars.
Yeah, one of the things that you were saying earlier when we had another conversation, you were talking about how critical it is to have a business plan, because one of the most valuable things it can do for you is make sure that you're on the same page. Everybody in your business is on the same page. All your vendors are on the same page. You might not share all the details of your financial structure, but you'd certainly share portions of your marketing plan, your business structure, your values. Sharing those values is so important in crafting a compelling message for your team. And I just loved what you had to say about that.
Well, you know, Elaine, most people think that a business plan has to be this whole 162 pages of a document that talks about, you know, the life history of your business. Not true. As you probably have heard, there's been a really creative design of a business plan that takes 2 pages. It's called the 2-page business plan. Now, will a 2-page business plan get you funding, or get you a joint venture partner who's really going to believe that you've got the vision for where you want your business to go and the elements that need to go into it really thought out? Probably not. But if that's where you need to start, then I am all for. Start the process where you are. If you're in the space of thinking a 5-page or a 10-page business plan is too much for you, start with a 2-pager. 2-pagers are typically something that creative people who are very visual, want to see. However, people also miss the point that those visuals in a full-fledged business plan are part of the energy and the compelling component to that plan. Now, we also talked about the fact that most people think that, well, maybe I can just get away with the executive summary, writing the executive summary, and will that be enough? Well, no. Okay, didn't want to waffle on that too long. The answer is no, because you're doing yourself a disservice for 2 reasons. One, you just do the executive summary. You've left out a lot of the detail that you need to think through, which is shown in the detailed part of your business plan. The second big thing is most people look at, and I always start my clients with examining a table of contents that actually fits for their business. And in doing so, we can actually go through and look at each of the components, the chapters of the book, so to speak, and we're able to really think through on a high-level basis what pieces are actually applicable to them and what we may have to spend more time on. And what I always tell them is do the executive summary last. Now, a lot of people say, well, if it's at the front of the table of contents, why would you do it last? Great question, and that is truly because the detail that you will formulate needs to go in the executive summary, and you will, in formulating the detail first, be able to really identify the important pieces that go into the executive summary story. And I always tell people, when you're in school and you're in that textbook, where do you find the summary of the chapter that you've been through? It's at the end. Yeah. That's the thinking that you want to keep in mind as you're writing your business plan.
I want to harken back on something that you said a little bit earlier, which was about the power of graphics and images, because people are incredibly visual. I think it's something like 85% of your brain is involved in some way, shape, or form in processing images and sight. And so we are trained at the most primitive level, we are trained to notice differences, and graphic images just capture people's attention. So think about, as you're creating your business plan and you're talking about your target audience, show images of who that might look like, right? Show examples whenever you can provide. Think of it as almost like infographics. You wouldn't be that abrupt, right? Your executive summary cannot be an infographic. You got to go into a little more detail than that. But think a little bit about how you can incorporate graphics into your business plan. And you're already talking about the executive summary, because I want you to take us through just kind of a quick outline of what are those critical components that we need to make sure we include in our business plan.
Well, there are a few. And it starts with identifying the company. What is the business? What's the business name? Were you incorporated? Are you an LLC? Those details are important to have at the beginning. Again, I always take people through a table of contents that is designed to meet their business. Like, I wouldn't do a manufacturing business table of contents the same way I would do a service business. They don't match. Yeah. And I wouldn't do a nonprofit business plan the same way I would do a for-profit one. Similar, but no, there are some very stark differences. But all at the beginning, you want to talk about the business. What's the structure of the business, the vision, the mission, all of those are common elements. And then you get into the identifying the business nature. What does your business do? Who do you serve? What's the target market? Is there a niche in that target market, and then, drill down a little closer. Is there an ideal customer that you actually are striving to serve? And then you
Okay,
get
I'm going to stop you right there for just 1 second, because
Okay.
this is one of the places where people fall down, right? You're convinced your
Yeah.
product is so great, your service is so necessary, you could do this for everybody under the sun, and it's highly relevant for everybody. I mean, who doesn't want to be in the 5% who succeed, right? But if you try to be all things to all people, no one can hear you.
You will
So
be
your
in the
ability to
0%.
niche down, exactly, niche down and focus in on a finite, very discrete audience of proven buyers, people who already are purchasing similar products, and they have an interest in what you're doing. If there's other people in your space, don't worry about it. You have a unique perspective and a unique way of creating a transformational experience for your clients. So write about that in your business plan and be very discreet about who you're working with. That makes such a huge difference, and it's much more powerful than saying, I'm all things to all people.
And it dilutes the story. How can you tell a
Totally.
story about being all things to all people? You go off on too many different tangents. However, if you can find and identify that ideal client, and you can build your story of service or of product development based on serving that ideal client, your story has so much more heart and juice and power. And that's what this business plan is going to do for you. Not to mention the fact that there are so many people who will identify with your ideal client that they will self-select. And that's what Elaine was talking about. You want them to be able to say, oh, that's me, versus you thinking that you have to go out and find these people. You want to speak to this person and then let them say, she's talking to me.
I also want to just bring up another point, because you make a good point there too. If somebody is really impressed with what you're talking about and they think that you could really be valuable to them, you know what they're going to say? I know you only work with that kind of person, but do you think you could help me out too? Guess what? All of a sudden, your audience is opened. So just because you're being very specific, that actually creates more value for everybody. And yes, people self-select, and they will choose to work with you at a much higher rate than if you're much more general about who you work with.
Absolutely. And once you've determined who that ideal client or customer is, then you go into talking about how you'll serve them. What will your products do for them? What will your services do for them? And when you speak about it in terms of what will your services or products do for your ideal client, you've shifted the traditional thinking around what you want to write in a business plan. Because prior to now or recently, people have said, tell us about your business. What are you going to do? How are you going to do it? When that's part of it, but that is the underlying message, because you want to speak to how your client will be served, how your customer will be served, how they're going to benefit. It's the whole features and benefits story. Identifying the features, identifying the benefits are going to be what helps you to focus on how to speak about the benefits in your business plan.
That's so great. And I just want to share one thing that I read recently in a great book called Tell to Win. They're talking about the power of a story, especially in a business environment, in a business setting. And your business plan, of course, is a really compelling story. Well, they provide all these different examples of different companies where a movie executive was saying, I'm not in the business of making movies. I'm in the business of providing an emotional, transformational experience for viewers. That's my business. So if you think at that level, what is that incredible transformation that you're creating? What are the emotions your business is empowering your clients to experience? It's not that they're buying a book. No, they're buying the success they want. They're buying whatever that is, right? What is that for your business? That's a very compelling and powerful message for you, for your employees, for your clients, for your vendors.
So true. And
I
I
know I'm
have to
preaching to
tell
the
you,
choir here.
it is truly about the experience. When you can write a compelling story that speaks to the experience, you have got a winning business plan. You've got a win. And even if you're looking at, I've got my business plan, there's a piece of it called a marketing plan, still build the story into your marketing plan. I had a friend of mine tell me one day, Lynn, you're talking about the story within the story. And I'm like, you are so right. And those stories can go in multiple layers. And it's called stacking. So you're
Mm-hmm.
stacking the story. You've got the
Mm-hmm.
overall story of the business plan, and then a piece of it is the marketing plan. And that's what I was going to talk about next is the whole how will you let the world know that you have this business, that you have these services or products, and that you're actually looking at serving this ideal client. Well, that's in your marketing, and there's a good little bit of work to go into the marketing because it does start with your researching. And when you finish your research, you know where to go to do three things. Well, two things actually that result in something. I call it your EOI quotient. You've heard about
What does that
ROI.
mean?
We'll talk about the income side in a moment, but your EOI is exposure creates opportunities equals income. And in your marketing plan, and something a lot of people don't do either, is identifying, exposure is one thing, knowing your ideal client and where to find them, how to talk to them. But the how to talk to them in the written business plan is not necessarily how you're going to talk to them as you're having these enrollment conversations, whether you're enrolling them to buy a product of yours or you're enrolling them to work with you in a service-based business. Is the enrollment conversation that we leave out. How are we going to, I say entice because it's like serving a meal.
Mm-hmm.
When you serve a meal, you can talk about the meal is going to be this and it's going to taste like this, and you're actually drawing the picture in a story as to how this meal is going to be served and taste. And your overall experience is that people walk away with the fact that they've had this delicious meal and they want to come back to see you again. That's what everyone should be thinking about in relation to their marketing plan.
I
And
love that. I love that analogy because the more senses you can titillate, the more sensual experiences you can create for your customer, the more they really feel what you're trying to give them. And you want it to be their story, right? You're starting the story, you're initiating the conversation, but you want them to take it over because they've had that incredibly rewarding experience with you, and then they're going to tell it to everybody they know. So the story begins with you, but it continues perpetually on to everybody else. Referrals are always good for business.
yes, they are. Yes, they are. And so the fifth piece of the components that you want to
Mm-hmm.
have in your business plan is the financials.
Mm-hmm.
Once you've started talking about being able to market, expose your business, see what opportunities are out there, and we live in a world of unlimited opportunities and unlimited potential, and so they're going to show up, which means income. Think about what it is your best day would look like, and then talk about that and build on that. If you were to incrementally increase that, what would that look like? And I always say start with a 3-year outlook because that is very visionary for some people. In the world that I came from, you had a 10, sometimes a 20-year projection
Wow.
based on, yeah, and you wanted to see, think about it. If you're in the world of getting a loan, whether it's a home loan or a
Mm-hmm.
commercial loan, people are looking at the long term. It's going to take you
Sure.
30 years to repay this loan. Why wouldn't I want you to think in business in increments of 10. Show me what 10 years might look like for your business.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
so it was easy enough to see 10 years. And what I realized is that that's a great place to take people 10 years out. What do I want my business to look like 10 years from now? What do I want my business to look like 20 years from now? If you can't see that far, it's okay. Start where you are. If it's 3 years, and I won't let anyone go less than 3 years. Sometimes it's 5 years, which is also a great time frame. But those are easy time frames to build financial projections for. And especially when you've got a template that helps you to think through what those elements might look like, especially if you're just starting in business. If you've already been in business, you've got some history that you can pull on and then set things up with. When you're just starting in business, you may not know some of the things that you need to consider. And
yeah,
so,
I was just going to say, because I bet a lot of people out there are thinking, oh boy, 3 years, 5 years. So am I going to have the marketing plan for 3 years or 5 years? Or is that just the financials? And then where am I pulling these financials from? Am I making numbers up out of a hat? Am I looking at what the competition's doing? There's a lot of questions that I know people are going to have, and I know you've got the answers. So I know you'll have an answer to share with us towards the end of this conversation. I just want to bring up the fact that I'm sure people have a lot of questions, because as soon as you start drilling down on something like this, all the options, all the opportunities start coming up, and it's easy to get distracted and to get a bit overwhelmed. And what I so love about what you do, Lynn, is you help make it concrete and discreet. You make it simple for people to implement their business plan. That's so important.
When I started, I'll tell you a little story. When I started in my entrepreneurial journey, I was actually teaching these business plan building workshops. And we'd get to the financial piece, and I remember I had in one workshop, there were 3 women who all were just like heads about to explode when we got to that piece. And they were like, I know I'm not going to understand it. I know it's just going to be, am I lying when I talk about numbers? And by the time we finished, it was so cool because each one of them had an entirely different perspective about the whole process of building your financial projections. But that's where I also got the nickname, the Money Girl. So
that's a nice nickname.
Yeah. It's like, oh my God, you helped me to understand the money side, see the potential of the money for my business, and really outline it so that I saw and understand what projections are versus pulling numbers out of a hat. So it really did turn out that way. And then the other really big aha for a lot of people that I work with is the 6th thing that I'm going to talk about right now. It's called the exit strategy. I mentioned it before because it's one thing that most people do not include in their business plan. I'm not ever giving up this business. I've got a partner, but we've got that settled in the partnership agreement, or if I don't think about it, if I don't write about it, it won't happen. Nothing will happen, and I'll be in this business forever, right? Well, some of that's good, but let's just keep it real. I'm the kind of girl who's just like, let's cut to the chase, keep it real, because if you do not have an exit strategy, your business could fall apart, wheels fall off the cart in midstream, and you're sitting back saying, what happened? So there are a couple of things I just want to put out there as far as thinking about exit strategy. One, you could sell the business. The other is you could bring in a partner and gradually move out of the business, take more of a sort of board of directors role and let the business do its thing and you just get paid. Or you could get the business to where you groom someone to take over for you. And, if it's a small business, you're more likely to see that side of mid to large size businesses that have, incorporated and have documents that say they've got a little strategy here. You want to mention that in the business plan. that you have an exit strategy that is a viable exit strategy, because if you want to sell a business and you don't have one, people are going to say, well, how are you going to, what are you selling to me? What are you trying to sell to me? Because, and they're not going to buy. So the exit strategy is key.
It is so important. It really differentiates the men from the boys, as they say. You know, if you're a legitimate company, if you're really trying to show your level of expertise and professionalism and how you've mastered your craft, you have an exit strategy for your business. No doubt about it, because it drives a lot of the decisions that you're going to make in your business. It's interesting, I've talked to people who are in mergers and acquisitions. They buy businesses, they invest in businesses all the time. And they're just amazed at how people have forgotten some of the basics that they need to have in place in order to have something worth selling, in order to have something worth leaving to their kids. You know, so if you think about it at the beginning, if you think about it as a part of your business plan, it influences a lot of the things that you do and the decisions that you make in how you structure your business, how you run your business. It's really a fundamental component that everybody needs to think about.
It really is. And that brings me to the last piece of this, which as you're building your business plan, you really want to do these three things. You mentioned the word value. And I want to bring things back to value in this piece, because here is where you want to review what it is that you've written in all of the detail. Revise it to make sure that your story flows. And then you craft your executive summary. You actually take the pieces of the detail that are the most compelling. That's what you put in the executive summary, which is the mini story. So, you know, you go to the epic film and you see the beautiful way that the story plays out, yet in the mini version, not the commercial, but the mini version, you get the story. You just don't get as much as what you get in the epic movie.
It's the Cliff Notes. I was just on Amazon just last night, and I bought some business books, and, you know, it always pops up with the things that we recommend. Well, somebody's coming out with some really good executive summaries, and they don't want you to not buy the book. They want you to buy the book, use the executive summary to go through the book in a quicker way, and use that as your reference document, you know, as your little cheat sheet. And it was just a really interesting strategy. That's what your executive summary is for your business plan. It's your cheat sheet. But I really want to ask you a couple of questions about what we can do to leverage our business plan. Once we have it done, what are some of the different ways that we can leverage this amazing document?
Well, I just want to say that I appreciate that question. That is such a powerful question, because you cannot leverage what you do not have.
So true.
So that's the first thing. When you have your business plan, then you can leverage a lot of things. You can leverage strategic alliances. You can leverage joint ventures. You can leverage speaking opportunities. You can leverage partnerships that are long-term, deep, yet high-level partnerships. You can even leverage funding. You can leverage business capital. You can leverage grants, depending on what it is that you intend to do. You can leverage the way that your business is structured. If you're a sole proprietorship and you're thinking about going to a formalized means of a business structure, either incorporating or an LLC, you may want to, depending on what you've got in there, you may want to become a B corporation, which is a benefits corporation, which is a corporation that's not a nonprofit, but is really the thing that I get most involved in, which is the social enterprise. And as a social enterprise, even if you're incorporated and have yourself as a B corporation, you have a board of directors, you have, you know, the whole mission and vision, and top level piece of consideration for your vision and mission is how you're going to use the business to provide a service that is above and beyond how it is that you generate income. So a portion of your income is actually earmarked towards this type of activity occurring. And I so love that, and I so appreciate you asking that question, because there are numerous ways to leverage your business plan, and for me, that's one of the ones that I am most passionate about.
I really love what you were saying there, Lynn, because you covered a huge gamut. I mean, truly, if you think about it, your business plan is the game book for your business. It's the rule book. So as you're writing, when you're hiring somebody, you might review your business plan to create your hiring description and the kind of employee you're looking for. As you're creating new products, you want to make sure that it's in alignment with the vision that you have for the company and that it fits well with the other products that you have. It drives all of the decisions that you're making about your business. It's the backbone of your business. So that gives you so much more strength and more capability, more flexibility, because your business is a thriving, growing entity. You started out, this little bitty thing coming out of your mom. You're a little bit larger now, right? You expanded, you grew, you became, you thrived, and your business will do the same. So when you have that business plan together, that's when you're in a position to really grow. That's what I loved about what you had to say. I don't know how you can improve upon this, Lynn, but is there anything that I haven't asked you that I really should ask you? Is there anything else that we need to know?
Yes, that is clearly, I can work with all kinds of business owners to actually create their business plan. Honestly, my heart is in working with women entrepreneurs who see themselves as ready to not only begin business, take their business to the next level, but really put themselves in a place of adding a social enterprise component to their business. And I have people ask me, well, Lynn, what does that mean? Do I have to become a nonprofit? What do I have to do? And I coin it like this. There's only one thing that you have to do, and that's think bigger. And as you're thinking bigger, you will think about others. And as you're thinking about others, it comes from the heart as to what it is that you want to do. I talk about, short story, a friend of mine wanting to do something to enhance their business, and her mother was ill with Alzheimer's, and she became a caregiver. And she said, since I've been in this space, I'm just so much more compassionate towards caregivers, and I now belong to my local Alzheimer's chapter organization. And she's like, with my business, how can I use my business to support them at a higher level? Well, I was like, I'm already contributing. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I'm like, you know what, where your business is concerned and you are doing all of this, why not just put a place on your website, get a lot of traffic to your website that says, I support the local chapter of the Alzheimer's organization, and you can even have that linked to another page, either their page or a page in between their page and your little logo thing, and it tells about your story. Why it is you're so compassionate towards this organization, why it is that you're giving your time and your dollars, and let people know that you're doing business so that you can help to support that. They've been so good to your mom, and then direct them through your website to that organization. And I've had this happen more than once, but she was able to come back a couple of months later and say, a new client found me and looked at my website and saw that I was connected to the Alzheimer's organization and said, I do business with so-and-so that does similar to what you do. I'm going to bring my business to you because I am in that space. I love the fact that you're connected with this organization, and I want to support someone that supports the things that I'm passionate about as well. And when I talk about EOI, exposure, creating opportunities, creating income. This person who found her, that actually came over to do business with her, one of her biggest referral clients, increasing her bottom line with this one person who found her. And so it's huge, not to mention the fact that in the environment that we're in now, in the global environment that we're in now, this has just become so much more of a conscious entrepreneurial space, the social enterprise community is growing so much because people are connected to these things. You know, ALS, Alzheimer's, MS, you know, all of these organizations. I did a bike ride for 3 years. It was a 3-day, 100-mile bike ride thing, you know, with the MS organization. My first year, I did 50 miles, no, 2 days, 50 miles and 25 miles. The second year, I did 75 and 75. The third year, I did 75 and 100, and would have done 100 both days here, but I ended up moving, and, you know, life happens. But for me, that was huge to be able to say that I'm so connected to this organization, and here's how. And, you know, have my business be an opportunity for me to raise money for the MS Society. And, you know, I'm heartfelt into it. Not that I have MS, but my sister does. And so there's huge connection, huge opportunity, and huge business that became opportunities there.
Lynn, I know I sent you some data recently because we had a couple of conversations before this interview, and it's really interesting. Something like 40% of consumers are looking to see what you're doing to make a difference in your community. What are the nonprofits that you support? How are you making a difference in your community? People are looking for that. It's becoming one of the standards of doing business. It's no longer a differentiator. It's a mandate.
Absolutely.
So think a little bit about your business and how you can make a difference in your community. Now, one of the ways that I know Lynn wants to make a difference in her community, very generously, she has offered to give you the opportunity to get a copy of her book, How to Write a Business Plan Without Pulling Your Hair Out or Slitting Your Wrists. Hard to believe that it's possible to write a business plan without doing those two things, but according to Lynn, it's viable. So Lynn, where can we get a copy of your book?
You can get it by going to skyhawkenterprises.biz/business-plan. So it's skyhawkenterprises.biz/business-plan.
Okay, we're going to make sure that we put the link in the comments section underneath the show here. So if you're watching this a little bit later, you'll be able to see the link. And it's good in perpetuity. You'll be able to download a copy of Lynn's book. Lynn, what a fabulous conversation.
Elaine, it truly was. I always enjoy talking with you. You're such a great interviewer. Thank you so much for making me look so good.
Oh, you managed to do that just fine. I'm going to have to find out some of your beauty secrets there. Driving me nuts. Thanks, everybody, for being a part of this conversation. If you have any questions for Lynn or for me, just write your questions here, and we will get back to you privately to answer your questions. Until next week, this is Elaine Starling. I hope you have a fabulous week that's filled with success. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Elaine. Bye, everyone.